the May pay-per-view for 1995 for WCW. Are you ready for this, Greg?
Roll Tide.
Well, I'm going to have to say hell no to all of that. The Tide can die. I mean, not literally the people in it, but you know what I mean.
They're gonna be champions, but whatever.
Oh, they can bite me. I hope they lose to whoever it is they're facing. I don't care who it is. But either way.
In case you guys don't know, TJ is a hardcore Michigan fan, so he takes offense to that.
Eat my ass.
All right, I'm done.
Michigan can suck it. Freaking, for all of you that don't know, the Buckeyes, and I know this is recorded before the game, but this is being posted afterwards. The Buckeyes won the Rose Bowl on New Year's Day. I'm calling it now.
Well, any Ohio fans, and I know one might be listening, yeah, TJ just jinxed them. So when they lose, go back to this podcast and blame him.
I don't have the jinx ability like you do. You jinxed Roman Reigns I don't know how many times with winning that belt. So,
hey, didn't it pay off at SummerSlam?
Yeah, take 5. Yeah, finally paid off. So actually, good for you.
Come to think of it, if you're right, I may have helped create All Elite Wrestling.
Oh, man. Yeah, right, because you kept the Bucks are going to WWE. They're going. They're definitely going to be there. Oh, wait, they created their own promotion. Which, by the way, I'm going to say is the most unlikely of all of the scenarios I had in my head. And so good for you, Greg. You just, have this ability to make stuff happen out of thin air. Good for you. Well, let's get into this. I don't know.
No, I'd rather not.
Well, again, I didn't hate it. You did. I didn't hate it. It was whatever. Some of it was just god-awful. But it was WCW Slamboree 1995, a Legends reunion. They were in the Bayfront Arena in St. Petersburg, Florida. It's funny, they had 2 pay-per-views in Florida. They gave away a house in Florida, and then they had a pay-per-view in Florida. 2 separate companies in the same month. That's something. May 21st, 1995.
I think ECW had an event that week, too. They were giving out a bag of Tootsie Rolls.
Wow, they could afford a bag of Tootsie Rolls? Good for them. You and I are both going to hell. Conrad would hear this and curse our names. But anyway. Attendance was 7,000, like I mentioned earlier. First thing to notice about this is Eric Bischoff is standing in for Tony Schiavone, who is recovering from neck surgery. Bobby Heenan is wearing a bolo tie for some reason. Because when I think Florida, I think bolo ties.
Don't question it.
No, I'm not. It's Bobby Heenan. He can do whatever the hell he wants, including getting loaded while on commentary at Hog Wild. The Harlem Heat cuts a weird promo about the Nasty Boys over a video of them playing in the background while their music plays over this whole thing. It was a wacky promo. It just, I don't know. WCW promos in 95 were just odd. But yeah, we go to the first match of the night. It is for the WCW Tag Team titles. It is Harlem Heat with Sister Sherry defending against the Nasty Boys again. Seems to be a theme.
I think I remember it was only SAGs, wasn't it?
Well, we'll get to that. Here, the curtain that is supposed to open for them, because they have something that pulls the curtain apart in the center. Well, the curtain's stuck together. Something was holding it together. So Jerry Sags comes out and
ooh, man, you want to talk about omens.
Right. Well, Jerry Sags has to come out and just rip the curtains apart himself just to get through. But yes, it is just Sags. He comes out alone without his entrance gear. Both teams.
But he's rocking that mohawk mullet, though, right?
Oh, yeah, the Nasty Boys haircut. That is just epic. Both teams, I might add, get all the pyro. Just all of it. Just tons of freaking pyro.
Pyro for the Nasty Boys.
Yep. Well, Sherry looks into the camera and says, Nasty Boys, this is it. Like it or not. Like it or not, this is it. So, whatever. I guess she was the Zodiac before the Zodiac.
This is it.
Like it or not. The crowd is...
Don't jump ahead.
Yeah. The crowd is actually really into the Nasty Boys, which I underestimated their overness in 95, I guess.
Well, legend has it they came out of a box, so...
Oh, my God. Why is that like the third mention of that? Sherry gets on the apron and Jerry Sags just punches her right across the face, dropping her to the floor. I was like, what the hell?
Right there shows you the contrast between WWE and WCW.
Yep. They're like, whatever, hit a woman. Who cares? But she's up about
I
30.
heard Sherry could legitimately kick a lot of guys' asses, though. So
Yeah. Well, I'm sure she could. She was attractive, but my God, I'm sure she could just knock somebody silly. But anyway, she gets right up 30 seconds later, perfectly fine. Nothing wrong.
there you go.
Yeah. Well, Sherry pulls Sags off of the cover. He chases her around, and the referee tries to stop him. He shoves the referee away, and Stevie Ray cuts him off. Later, Stevie effing Ray. Later
War
on,
Games '98.
later on, Sherry slaps him. Then Booker holds Sags, and Sherry slaps him again. At one point, Sags reaches for a tag for a long, long time, looking confused, like, "Where's my partner?" Even though he's never been there. So what the hell was he reaching for?
He's in the back helping Hogan get his bags out of his car.
Oh my God. Holy crap, you've buried him. Like, you've buried everybody in this match so far. Well, okay, I buried Stevie Ray, so I'll take credit for that.
I like Booker. I'm not going to say a word about Booker, but
He's the only one who hasn't been buried so far. He's the one. Oh, my gosh. That might be coming, though.
oh, let's see. The Nasty Boy, Stevie Ray, and a Hall of Famer. It's not hard to pick one.
Right? And Mullet the referee. Stevie Ray tries to do a flying leg drop off of the bottom rope, making it look super difficult. Like, that's how bad he sucks. He's trying to get up on the bottom rope, and he looks like he's struggling. But he jumps off for this leg drop. He lands on one foot, and then he drops a leg. So, what was the point? Gosh, Stevie Ray sucked. Oh, he didn't get over. He sucked. I've forgotten.
Pretty bad when you're in a match with the Nasty Boys and you're the worst one in the ring.
Yeah. I honestly forgot how bad he was until, like, I go back and watch this stuff. Jerry Sags nails a pile driver on Booker T, and then Brian Knobbs hobbles to the ring with his arm taped up and tape wrapped around his stomach, but it is over his
Damn,
shirt.
how big was Hulk's bag?
That was a lot of weed, man. He's his weed carrier. Him and Jimmy Hart, man. But Jimmy had one handful with his megaphone, so he could only carry the one bag. Brian had to get the other ones, man. But this is the funniest part. His quote ribs were taped up over his T-shirt.
Oh my God. Quick, throw it on. Over the shirt. I show my belly and we gotta sell the injury.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Literally no one wants to see that dude shirtless. But, like, come on. Like, what? Just kills the illusion. The stupid illusion as it is. And according to, I don't know if you listened to Eric Bischoff's latest podcast, but apparently there are some naked photos of all people, Brian Knobbs floating around the internet. So,
wow,
beware.
The first couple of questions is, number one, who took these pics?
Himself.
Number two, who the hell wants to see these pics? Number three,
Apparently
who leaked
Conrad.
these pics?
I would assume the answer to questions 1 and 3 were Brian Knobbs himself.
Okay.
I don't know. Oh gosh. Yeah, but I'm gonna leave it at that. Anyway, the crowd goes nuts for frickin' Brian Knobbs, which just again blew my mind. But he tags in. He backs up to the ropes and has to tell Stevie Ray, "Come on," multiple times before Stevie rushes in and he takes an ugly backdrop over the top rope onto the steps. He sucks. This is actually in my notes where I wrote Stevie Ray freaking sucks. Ryan sees Sherry trying to come off of the top with her heel, like she always does. Sherry dives, Brian catches her, and he hits a huge spine buster on her ass. This is the second time we see man-on-woman violence in this match.
Are we sure Russo wasn't booking?
Maybe. I don't know. They then picks Sherry up and just tosses her out of the ring on top of Stevie Ray. Just like chucks her ass. Knobbs then nails Booker with a power slam, tags in Sags. Sags makes the pin for the win. Brian Knobbs then cuts a promo to the camera after the match, but the director doesn't take the shot. But they've got the mic. They've got it mic'd up. However, we don't need the mic because Brian Knobbs' voice could have woken the dead. He is the loudest man ever. But then, of all people, it's going to get better, Greg, because the Blue Bloods come out and they just kind of
hell yeah,
and they just kind of shake their heads in disgust, and then they leave. For those of you that don't know, this iteration of the Blue Bloods was William Regal and Sir Earl of Eaton, or Bobby Sir Earl of Eaton.
The Earl of Eaton.
Yeah, there you go. It was Bobby Eaton pretending to be British. So the Alabama boy. I'm excited for the Nasty Boys versus them. Don't get me wrong, they are great workers, but what the hell? They're going to get saddled with the Nasty Boys. My conclusion.
It's the prospect.
Yeah. My conclusion, I said, another pretty good outing for these teams. Stevie Ray really sucks. 1.5 Uncle Dave's.
Oh.
Yeah, this was probably their worst match out of all of them, but in their defense, half of the match was a handicap match. So there's that. The Nasty Boys then get interviewed by Eric Bischoff, who is wearing glasses now. I'm not sure why Bischoff is holding a microphone, because the Nasty Boys are loud enough to be heard in the next state. I didn't write down a damn thing they said, because I had to turn my volume down as low as it could go. Either way. Well, we go to the backstage with Mean Gene. We get our first Mean Gene sighting of the night, man. He's backstage with Kevin Sullivan, who sounds loony as hell.
He didn't talk about the hotline?
No, not this time. He was talking with Kevy Sullivan. But yeah, Sullivan keeps asking Mean Gene if he feels cold. And Sullivan and he keeps saying, "Oh, it's not cold back here. It's like 80 degrees. I'm sweating. What are you talking about?" Then Sullivan claims that he hasn't slept in the past 5 days, and he keeps calling Ed Leslie Butcher or Man with No Name. So he can't remember that he's the Man with No Name. He keeps calling him the Butcher and then remembering, oh, wait, he's the Man with No Name. He then says he's weak because he still believes in Hulkamania. That's Butcher. He then tells Mean Gene something is wrong with him if he thinks that it's not cold in there. And Mean Gene says that he's walking toward... He turns to leave, and he says, "You're walking towards the men's room. You want to go the other way." And he has to turn around. Oh, this was bad. It was weird. It was... Freaking Kevin Sullivan was loony as... He was nuttier than squirrel crap, man. Either way. Are you strapped in for this one, Greg? It's the Man with No Name versus Kevin Sullivan.
Why wouldn't I?
Well, you should. I wrote this down. The Man with No Name is oddly in much better shape now than he was when he main evented Starrcade.
Real thing.
Yeah. Well, and it's a real thing that, main eventing Starrcade, whatever, I'll be a little pudgy. But wait, I'm facing Kevin Sullivan, the second match of the night at Slamboree. Man, gotta hit ab day. Like, what the hell? Kevin Sullivan's theme sounds like a precursor to Scott Steiner's theme. You ever notice that? It's just a bunch of sirens.
No, I didn't actually.
Yeah, go back and listen to it. It just, like, for the first couple seconds, it's only sirens, and then some, like, rock music kicks in under the sirens, but still, it's just like sirens through the whole thing. The Man with No Name beats the tar out of Sullivan for the longest time, punching and choking him. He locks in a sleeper hold, but Sullivan pretty easily breaks it with a sit-out jawbreaker, which makes you wonder why not everybody does that. The camera work on these shows is just horrible. I don't know why I wrote that, but they obviously took a bad shot at this point. There was a lot of camera shaking, too. Like, they would, normally when somebody's moving, you're like, oh, take camera, whatever, this guy's getting into place. Nope, let's just follow him and let the camera shake all over. Morons. Man with No Name hits a pile driver, making this 2 matches in a row with pile drivers used. Bischoff says, "You know what happens when you cut the head off of a snake?" And Heenan says, "Yeah, it becomes a belt." I loved it. Sullivan starts coming in to take a clothesline and decided not to and just stops in his tracks, making the man with no name more or less punch him in the wrist, or punch him with his wrist. But he still falls down. It was so bad. Man with no name misses a corner splash, smacking his face on the post, allegedly. Sullivan then drops him and hits a jumping double stomp for the win. And then, after the match, you know what's coming, Greg. On the Tron, we see the first appearance of a fat gray guy sitting on a throne covered in cobwebs. What was his name? I know he's King Iakea, but what was his actual name here in this gimmick? The Master?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. But we don't know yet. Nobody knows who he is, which there's somebody else that happens with later on.
We just spoiled it.
Yeah, well... Oh, yeah, sorry, spoilers for something that happened over 20 years ago. My bad.
It's okay.
But anyway, he shouts really loudly about how Hulkamania is growing, and Sullivan just takes off through the crowd looking scared. And then the fat guy yells, "Sullivan, come forth, my son." And I'm like, this was like a drug-induced fever dream. I don't know what the hell was going on. And this wasn't even the worst of these segments involving this guy. We'll get to that. You know, I found out.
Will we? Will we really?
I found out most of those wacky segments happened on Clash of the Champions, like in between pay-per-views. And for all of you out there, no, I will not go back and watch them. So if you want to see them, do it yourself.
I probably already have.
Well, maybe you can fill in some of the gaps between these pay-per-views, Greg. But after that, real quick, conclusion, I said this one ended awfully suddenly. It was just a big brawl. I gave it 1.5 Uncle Dave's. Nothing special. But, you know, everything involving Ed Leslie is great, so I don't know what I was thinking.
I sense sarcasm there.
No, never. This is what we've been waiting for, Greg. Go back to Mean Gene backstage, who is interviewing Jimmy Hart, who looks like a cartoon character yet again, Hulk Hogan, and the Macho Man.
Oh, God.
They're apparently, by the way, known as
Here it comes.
They're apparently known as the Monster Maniacs now. I don't know why.
Because that sounds epic.
I guess. Where does Monster come in? Is this setting up for the Monster Truck match? Oh, sorry, spoilers. Now in the archives on YouTube. But, yeah, Hulk says that they're late because Macho Man was dog paddling from Clearwater Beach and his daddy, Angelo Poffo, was doing the backstroke, brother. What? Which is where I got that crap from for the opening. He then says that their opponents won't make it out of the building alive tonight, so he's essentially saying they're going to murder them in the ring. That's nice. Macho then says that on his swim over, he saw sharks, man-o'-wars, red tides, and submarines. Continuing on with this drug-fueled promo, they just did all the blow before this. He then puts over his father being inducted into the WCW Hall of Fame. Hulk then talks about getting a new vein in his to pop out in his python. And he says that he feels like a 747 coming in for a crash landing in his hometown. I don't know if anybody told Hulk this, but that's not a good thing when a plane crash lands. So whatever. He then says that their opponents have no idea how many Slim Jims Randy had to snap into so far, and he asks to smell his breath. And then Macho blows into his face, and Hogan looks like he's about to pass out.
Oh, man.
All the blow. Just all the drugs. That's all of them. And then Hogan says that they're going to deposit their opponents into the Gulf of Mexico, brother. Holy crap, this sucked. I'm sorry. This whole thing, man. What were they smoking? Or injecting? Whatever.
The good puff.
Yeah, they were smoking the good puff, man. Real bros. They then switched to Angelo Poffo, talking about how he's honored to be inducted into the WCW Hall of Fame and to see his son wrestle tonight. Yeah, the illustrious WCW Hall of Fame that lasted for a whole 4 or 5 years. Oh, I'm sorry, 6 or 7 years. My bad. We then go to, I know this is your favorite match of the night, Greg. It was Dirty Dick Murdoch. That's right, I said Dirty Dick.
I'm already sold.
Versus Chief Wahoo McDaniel, excuse me, no S, in a Legends match, which means that they come out to no music and everything is in black and white. Kind of threw me off at first.
And this is 1995, by the way.
Yep. Think about this. This is, May, so January, February, March, April. Okay, so about, within 5 months, Dick Murdoch was on pay-per-view for 2 of the biggest companies in the world. Think about it, in 95.
Everyone wanted him.
Oh, yeah, he was a hot commodity, man. Everybody wanted Dirty Dick. You're gonna leave that one alone. The audio of the commentators seems kind of crappy and sounds really old. I don't know if that was on purpose or if they just had really bad mics. Bobby Heenan introduces his new commentary partner for this match, Gordon Silly, because everybody wants to hear Gordon Silly talk about a suplex.
I think this was his last ever event.
Perhaps, I don't know. I mean, God rest his soul.
Well, yeah, he leaves over not wanting Poffo in the Hall of Fame, I guess, or something like that.
What?
Yeah.
It's really weird. That's, all right then. Well, either way, he missed his chance, man. He could have been on that awesome Legends of Wrestling show. I mean, he was advertised for it. Or Heroes of Wrestling, excuse me.
Now available in the archive.
On YouTube. Go search for it. You may or may not regret it. Heenan keeps trying to be funny, and Sully just doesn't even know what to make of him. He's just like, yeah, anyway, back to the action. Wow. He was like the ultimate straight guy. Both wrestlers come out to no music, looking old and fat. They do. They zoom in on Wahoo's face, and he looks like he's about 1,000,000 years old. Wahoo hits a big front chop on Murdoch, and Murdoch vibrates down to his ass. Murdoch then gets uppercutted down. He stands up and then slowly slides back down to his ass. I don't know why he just keeps sitting down. Murdoch is bleeding from the nose at one point from getting his face slammed into the buckle so hard. Murdoch takes control. Wahoo gets the advantage back with an Irish whip into a big knife-edge chop. He pins Dick for the win. Murdoch kicks out at 3.2. Conclusion, these two old-timers beat the hell out of each other. They were slow but tough as nails. Anticlimactic finish to Uncle Dave's. What do you think of it?
I wish I never saw it.
Wow, I didn't think it was that damn bad. Good Lord. We've seen much worse.
Yeah, but not many.
Wow. Now to the back. Mean Gene Okerlund is interviewing Big Bubba Rogers. Bubba's right hand is all taped up for some reason. He cuts a pretty good promo about how he's already made people lose faith in Sting, and he's going to beat him at 2 pay-per-views in a row. Yes, he beat Sting on pay-per-view at Uncensored. Think about that. That was a real thing. But now we go into one of the better matches of the night, in my opinion. It was the Great Muta defending the IWGP Heavyweight title against, and I'm not, this is real, against Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. In 1995. I can't stress that enough. A ton of pyro goes off from Muta, because apparently WCW and WWF were in a contest to see how much money they could both waste on pyro.
And on guys who didn't need it.
Right. Muta basically did Sting's WrestleMania 31 entrance, where they had the Japanese drummers up on the stage, which I was flinching when the pyro was going off because the pyro was loud and there was a ton of it, and it was going off right next to these damn drummers. I'm like, are they dead now? What's going on? They just blew up. They just blew up a bunch of Japanese drummers on the stage. Nobody blinked an eye. The IWGP title back then was not very impressive looking. It was very small. It looked like he had like a penny on a belt. A ton of Japanese fans, by the way, were shown cheering in the crowd. I guess they heard that the title was on the line tonight. And apparently they all decided to sit together. When Orndorff came out, by the way, because I didn't know who the opponent was, they didn't say until he came out. When Orndorff came out, I scratched my head in confusion. I was like, the hell is going... Like, really? Paul freaking Orndorff? Okay.
Mr. Freaking Wonderful.
Yep. Of course, Nick Patrick is in this match, and what a mullet he's got going on with a porno stash.
Hell yeah.
Paul gets in Nick Patrick's face, and then Patrick backs him up and starts yelling at him, making him look like a total dork. Like, he just looks like a freaking wimp when the referee just backs him down like that, and he just cowers in fear. I was like, okay. There's a weird spot in the match. But anyway, Paul is in really great shape here in 95, except it is very obvious that his right arm is shrinking. It's not good, man. But Muta looks like he's campaigning for a job, looking great, is doing really good in the match. Bischoff is geeking out over Muta on commentary, man. He loves him some Japanese wrestlers, man, almost as much as Uncle Dave. The worst part of the match, it was like an over 1 minute long chin lock from Orndorff to Muta. Like, it was a chin lock that just wouldn't end. After a couple more moves, Orndorff then locks in a front face lock that lasts for over a minute again. Muta finally gets to win after a rib breaker into a very impressive looking moonsault. Conclusion, nice contrast of styles. Both men worked really hard. Dragged a bit at times. I gave it 2.5 Uncle Daves. So, about average. But then we go back to this team backstage. Mean Gene Okerlund in the back is interviewing Arn Anderson while Vader walks around with rubber bands in his hand, like those kind that you work out with. And Vader's just like making noises and growling like a weirdo. Ric Flair is in like a full suit and sunglasses. Arn and Rick do their thing on the mic. And then after Flair shouts, "Woo!" then Vader leans in and goes, "Woo!" It was weird.
Money.
Oh, yeah. But then Vader tells Hulk Hogan that he's the biggest, most powerful, and most dangerous wrestler in the world today. And he says his arms are python eaters. He has like I never noticed, like, as a kid, he's got like, I mean, it's cool, but he's got like a weird accent when he cuts his promos. You notice that?
Yeah, thick, I'm looking for the word.
I don't even know what accent that is. He's like, "Oh yeah, these are python eaters, yeah." I'm like, the hell is that?
It sounds like one of the Voices South Park guys do to mock people.
Yeah, basically. They took our gerbs. Oh, wait, no, sorry, that's Colonel Robert Fuller. Anyway, then they then show Terry Funk backstage saying that he doesn't think that he's a legend compared to a lot of great wrestlers of the past, and he puts over everybody who's not there that night, and then basically talks about how he doesn't think he's all that impressive. Like, dude, just shut up and accept your award. We then go to this. It was Arn Anderson defending the TV title against Alex Wright.
Hell yeah.
The Alex Wright. I did write, I said Alex Wright was really good and actually pretty popular, but he got saddled with a horse crap gimmick. It was bad. He could have done so much more. He was very talented. I don't know if he could cut a promo to save his life, but I don't know.
He could in German.
Oh, yeah. Freaking Heenan kept making German comments about him all night. It was like, oh, he doesn't speak English. And Bischoff was like, yes, he does. These two battle through a headlock from Wright for quite a while. There then was a couple of seconds of action, and then back to a headlock. There was then about another 30 seconds of action, and then back to a headlock. There was then about 15 seconds of action, and another headlock. This one eventually gets stood up into a cravat, so that was different. There's some more action for a few seconds, and then Wright grabs Anderson's into an STF for a good full effing minute. Finally, they battle outside of the ring, and it's pretty interesting outside of the ring for, what it's worth. They then must have decided this was way too much good stuff, because then they go back into the ring and Wright works the left arm, transitioning from knees into a Fujiwara armbar. And this goes on forever. I grew a beard watching this. Arn later hits a double-A spine buster, but he can't capitalize for a pin. He goes to work on Wright, picking him apart piece by piece. Commentary talks about how Wright could be put in the hospital, and Bobby Heenan says that he'll have to eat sauerkraut through a straw.
What the hell?
I freaking popped for that one. Wright then fights back for a few seconds. Arn cuts him off, hits a DDT, wins. That's the end of it. My conclusion, I said, a lot of this match was a boring battle of headlocks. Nothing was terrible, but it dragged a bunch. Two Uncle Daves. It's just headlock after headlock. I'm like, what the hell? Yeah, like, was Arn tired that night? He was just like, F it. Just put me in a rest hole, kid. Then we go to the most random ass match of the night. It was Meng with Colonel Robert Parker versus, of all people, Road Warrior Hawk. Okay. Eric Bischoff says, and I quote, that this could be a main event anywhere on the face of the earth.
Yeah.
I don't.
Wow.
I don't think.
What earth?
I don't think he was being like ironic with this or sarcastic. I think he was being serious, and I don't know what kind of drugs they had up in that booth, but he was doing them all.
The good puff. We told you this.
I wrote, this was a battle of the bad hairdos. A long-ass curly mullet for Meng and the double mohawk for Hawk. Meng starts by beating the piss out of Hawk for a while. He pile drives Hawk, making it another one. And then Hawk stands right up, just no-selling it completely after getting dropped on his head. He hits a Hangman's neck breaker. Meng stands straight up for that one, no-selling it. Hawk then runs into the ring post and flops the outside. Meng kicks him once, and then Parker kicks on him a few times. Meng throws Hawk face first into another ring post before Hawk rolls in to break the count. Meng hits a rib breaker for a 2 count. Hawk gets up and hits multiple big boots in a row, not dropping Meng. Meng gets the advantage. Hawk cuts him off and then gets in control. The two battle outside of the ring, and it's a double count out, meaning this damn thing isn't over. And I wrote, the locker room unloads with all the mullets, and they all hold him back.
I remember that.
There were about 20 effing mullets out there. I was watching this going, my God, Greg is going to have he's going to pop a stiffy when seeing this.
Yeah.
I've never seen so many mullets in one place in my life outside of a Garth Brooks concert. This was mullet heaven. Why was that a thing? Again, in WCW 1995, why was, everybody had a mullet? Everyone. Man.
Just because.
I guess. We then see Gordon Sully on the stage. He introduces the WCW Hall of Fame inductees. They all get a weird-looking trophy and some flowers. So, there's that. Comments don't go longer than 30 seconds for each guy. The inductees are Chief Wahoo McDaniels, Terry Funk, Angelo Poffo, Antonio Inoki, Big John Studd gets inducted posthumously, and Dusty Rhodes. Dusty comes out with his daughter and little Cody. Oh, little Cody. Gordon isn't aware that Dusty is going to do this, but Dusty announces that Gordon Sully is a surprise inductee into the WCW Hall of Fame. Gordon seems touched, and he thanks everyone. It was actually a pretty decent segment. Took forever, but compared to the Hall of Fame inductions we see nowadays, this was light speed. We then go to the back. Mean Gene Okerlund is backstage with Sting. Sting gives a very loud, shouty promo, looking like an orange and blue highlighter. He was very bright. This next match, you're gonna have to explain this to me, Greg. I mean, I figured out that it's just a no disqualification match, but it's Big Bubba Rogers versus Sting in what they call a lights out match. The hell is that?
I don't know.
I thought that like the lights would go out every now and then or something, but no, it's just a hardcore match.
Oh, I think it's got to win by like knockout, right?
No, this match ends with a pin.
I forget this part.
It's weird. I don't know. Sting carries a table to the ring over his head, just tosses it in the ring. The taunting and circling at the beginning of this match goes on for over 2 minutes, and I may be lowballing it. Like, this was dumb. After the battle of the headlocks we saw before this, I was bored. At one point, Bubba takes off his tie and chokes Sting with it. Sting gets out of the ring, he gets out of it and he nails a standing drop kick. They go back to taunting forever. Sting goes to put Bubba through the table, but Bubba threw powder in Sting's face and he drops him in the ring. They set up the table in the corner and Sting misses a splash onto it, but it doesn't break. That table was not gimmicked at all and it looked thick as hell. Bubba then whips him with his belt. He takes off his belt and literally starts whipping the hell out of Sting with it. Later on, Sting gets Bubba down, puts the table on top of him, and he does a jumping double stomp onto it. Oh, I'm sorry, it does not end with a pin. He locks him in a Scorpion Deathlock, and Big Bubba taps out. The end of the match. So I don't know what lights out means. I guess that's their fancy way of saying no holds barred. I don't know.
Yeah, throw a new tag on there. It'll sell.
My question is, why didn't this match happen the month before at Uncensored?
Who cares?
It's just not that it would have made it better, but like it's a gimmick match.
Might have. I mean, may have been anywhere in the country.
No, that was the match before with Haku and Hawk, or excuse me, Mang and Hawk. Conclusion: WCW really needed to gimmick that table. That thing wouldn't have broke for nothing. These two worked pretty well together. Again, Big Bubba can be seen in the wide shot because right before they send it like to the next thing, they show a wide shot, and Big Bubba's like posing in the corner for the crowd after he just got beat. That was kind of funny. I gave this 2 3/4 Uncle Dave's. It was a pretty decent match, actually. Then we go to the main event of the night. It was Ric Flair and Vader with Arn Anderson versus the Monster Maniacs, which is Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage. They are with Jimmy Hart and somebody else that we'll get to here in a moment. Flair and Vader get some pretty good pyro, but Hulk and Macho get all the pyro. Like all of it. To the point of where you can't even hear Michael Buffer. During their entrances, the Giant comes out through the pyro, and he just kind of stands there on the stage. Then he's quickly pushed to the back. Everyone looks super confused, and Eric Bischoff keeps going on about, who is that? Look at the size of that guy. He's humongous. And then Bobby Heenan says, they grow them big here in Florida.
Clever.
Yeah. Flair, Anderson, and Vader were about to attack Hogan and Macho, but then the Renegade runs in, and all the heels just bail out of the ring. Because we needed the Renegade. Good Lord. How did they get away with this, by the way? Just how?
I don't know. I think most of the time, if you go back and look, most of the things were based on names. The only thing was like Scott Hall's accent. It's the only thing.
Yeah, but it's like he had face paint, he had the Warrior's hair, he had the Warrior's movements. Right,
but none of that was probably trademark. I assume just a name. So
yeah, it's just weird. Hogan and Vader start slowly. Also, Angelo Poffo is seen in the front row, and Jimmy Hart keeps making that damn bullhorn shriek. You know that little siren that you can make with the bullhorn? He does that. He does that for like 10 minutes. I don't know which is more annoying, that or Fonzie with the damn whistle. But anyway, yeah, Hogan and Vader are slow as hell to start this match. They keep trying their test of strength crap. Vader keeps flexing. Finally, Vader puts him in the corner, and he's clearly pulling his punches because they have like the camera right on him when he's quote unquote punching Hogan in the corner. He's not anywhere close to Hogan's head. But then Hogan reverses it and starts punching him, and Vader randomly rips his mask off. Keep in mind, we're like a minute into this match, and he rips his mask off, never to put it back on. I'm like, what's the point of the mask, Vader? Vader gets double teamed, but he drops Hogan and Macho with a double clothesline. Macho and Flair in the ring together next, and Macho just cleans Flair's clock. Flair comes back, and Macho eventually gets the upper hand and tags in Hogan, who then proceeds to abuse the hell out of Ric Flair. Again, Flair fights back only for a moment before Hogan fights back. He locks Flair in the figure four. Then Arn Anderson runs in, and while Hogan has Flair in the figure four, he rolls Anderson up into a pin. It's weird. Finally, Flair gets the upper hand, and he tags in Vader. Flair goes outside and pelvic thrusts to a poor, unfortunate girl in the front row like a creeper. And this comes right after you said he basically said he was going to rape some kid's mom in a pay-per-view.
Yep.
Oh, man. Flair was creepy back in the day. Well, he still kind of is. The Giant then walks out on the stage again, wearing sunglasses, slacks, and a vest. He's wringing his hands, then he just turns around and leaves. Nothing happens. If we just see him, and then that's it. Vader hits a suplex on Hogan, and Hogan no-sells it, stands straight up. Vader then runs right through him. Randy Anderson, who is the referee, there's another mullet, tries to separate Macho Man and Vader, and then Vader just shoves him down. But then Randy is right up and fine. If that was a WWF referee, he'd be dead for the next 10 minutes.
Yep.
Vader nails a Vader splash on Hogan, and then he goes up for one off of the top rope, which I've never seen him do before, but Hogan rolls away. Vader tags into Flair, and Hogan tags into Savage. Savage starts abusing the hell out of Flair again. Flair just gets his crap kicked in this match. But then he goes after Vader, and Flair back elbows him in the face. Savage gets the advantage back by throwing Flair off the top rope and then hitting the flying elbow drop. Behind the referee's back, Arn Anderson pulls Savage outside. Vader takes Savage out, and then Renegade takes Anderson down. Because we need more Renegade. Vader nails the Vader salt on Macho Man. Macho looks like he about died. And Hogan breaks the count by pulling on Vader's ass. Not joking. Go back and watch. Macho Man doesn't sell the moonsault very much. He kind of gets up on all fours and is like, I'm okay. Even though he had a 400-pound man land on him. But Vader beats him up anyway. Flair gets tagged in. He goes back and forth with Savage. Finally, Savage makes a tag so that to Hulk and runs wild on Flair. Vader comes in, gets body slammed. The crowd goes wild. Anderson then gets knocked off the apron by Hogan. Hogan goes for the leg drop, but Anderson trips him, and Renegade chases him around the ring. We got to get the Benny Hill spot in. Vader splashes Hogan, and Macho breaks the count at 2. Vader and Macho fight outside for a while. While Hulk hulks up. Flair manages to hold Hulk's arms back, and here we go. Anderson goes up top with an axe handle, and it's coming. Hogan moves, and oh no, Arn hits Flair. Because we've never seen this. We don't know what's coming. Hogan then hits the leg drop, gets the win. And then here's where things start to get fun, Greg. A ton of pyro goes off because why the F not? And then Anderson and Flair attack them all, throwing Jimmy Hart outside. Angelo Poffo gets in the ring to stop them, but Arn holds his arms back and Rick just punches the crap out of him repeatedly before dropping him, and he locks in the figure 4. They keep mentioning that Angelo is like 70 years old. Hogan and Renegade finally rush in the ring and chase him off chase off Flair and Anderson. Macho Man looks like he's about to cry while he's helping his dad out, and he yells for someone to call an ambulance. It's a little odd to see everyone acting so concerned over Angelo while they're playing the theme of the event over them as they're closing out, because it's some upbeat 90s easy rock tune. Meanwhile, everybody's trying to be like all concerned. But my final conclusions of this match was pretty good match, actually. I enjoyed it. However, Flair got the piss beat out of him. Eric Bischoff's commentary for the night was not terrible, in my opinion. I noticed his favorite line to Bobby Heenan all night was, "You're out of your mind." He said it about 500 times. 3 Uncle Daves for this match. What do you think of it?
It got really long.
Yeah.
Really boring.
I was into it for the most part, but yeah, it was a little long. WCW loved their long-ass matches, I'll say that.